Hello, everyone. Good morning. Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday, and welcome again to another Saturday stream here at Elevate Equity. We're so excited that you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart as well, which is using IRAs to invest in real estate. Okay. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach investing in real estate. And one of the easiest ways to do it, if you have a 401k or if you've got a previous 401k from an employer and you've worked a W-2 job, or you've worked in a corporate setting for a very long time, this is a really easy way to get into investing in real estate because you can tap into some of those resources and those retirement funds that you never knew that you actually had to invest in real estate using your own money. There's a lot of ways that you can spin this, but there's a big difference between investing in real estate with cash and investing in real estate with an IRA. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, what that is. In general, investing with cash, you have a lot of there's a little bit more constraints. Most people have cash is a little bit tighter. It's kind of like it comes and goes, but in IRA, people are a little bit more dedicated to investing in their retirement, so they tend to have higher balances. So if you're going to start investing in real estate, having a higher balance available to you from your retirement accounts might be a really smart way to get breaking into the investment space, right? Because you have the capital there ready to go, so you don't have that barrier of trying to raise capital on your personal side to be able to enter into a property. Also, one thing that you got to know the difference between cash investing and IRA investing is that when you invest with cash yourself, you have the ability to leverage money. So you can take your cash and you can get a mortgage to stand alongside with you when you purchase a property. You only have to put 25% down and so on and so forth. But in an IRA investing, you've got to pay for the whole thing up front. So there's no mortgages, or at least the mortgages that you can get are a little bit more sophisticated than when you're starting out. So you're going to have basically buying a cash purchase out from the beginning. Okay. But when you're able to get into the market, it's a lot easier to have all that cash available. And so you can just kind of jump in really quickly, and that helps get you momentum to move on to the next property. Really quick rundown on how you're able to do it. Okay. If you have a 401k with a employer, or actually with a former employer, but it may be with your current employer if you've moved it in, there's a possibility that your employer will allow you to take some of those rolled in funds from the previous employer and use them to move them into a separate type of IRA account or retirement account. Because there's a 401k, which is the company sponsored retirement account. Then there's IRAs, which are they can be self-directed, which means that you are the custodian, or there's a custodian that manages the funds on your behalf, but you get to pick from any type of investment vehicle there is out there. So in your 401k, you're only allowed to pick the stocks and the instruments that your company has pre-selected for you. But with an IRA, you can go in there and you can basically have the entire market, all the stock market open to you, the stock market. And then also what we're going to get into a little bit later on is that you can buy real estate or commodities or businesses, or even write notes. You could be a lender based on the money that you have in an IRA, in a self-directed IRA. So all you got to do is you got to get in touch with your current 401k provider. If you have a previous 401k that's still with an old company, then you can use some of that funds and roll it into what's called a self-directed IRA. And that's pretty easy to do. You basically call up your old 401k employer, or you call your current one with rolled in money, and ask them to help you move some of those funds into a self-directed IRA. And what they'll do is they'll say, okay, where do you want it to go? And then they'll write a check out to that new custodian. And then the new custodian will open up a self-directed IRA on your behalf. And then you will be able to direct that custodian to where you want to invest the money and how you want to invest it. So for me, I use Equity Trust and Advanta. Those are the two big names in IRA. So all you got to do is get a hold of those guys, and they'll be more than happy to walk you through all the fees and also help you get to the point where you can get funds into your IRA. So they already know. I mean, they're incentivized to help find a way to get your retirement funds from other places into their account. So they're pros at being able to figure out how that's going to work and where the funds are going to come from. But in general, if you have a 401k that you've had with your current employer that you've been working for a long time, and you haven't had any other job, unfortunately, you won't be able to roll some of those monies into a retirement account to be able to invest elsewhere. So it's got to be from a previous employer, or potentially if you rolled it into your current 401k plan from a previous employer. Some administrators of the 401k plans allow you to take that previously rolled in money and put that elsewhere. So that's one thing. Once you have your custodian account set up and you've talked with Advanta or Equity Trust or some of those other people that are out there, those other custodians that you can Google that are out there, you fund your newly created IRA. And now that it's funded, this is where all the fun starts. You start to look at all the instruments that's available to you to go out there. You can look at real estate. Maybe you're looking at going into a syndication that will have potentially some indications that you may need to be aware of. But then you could also buy stocks in there. You could buy, I think some are offering crypto as well. You could probably buy some cryptocurrency. You can buy commodities, which are gold and oil. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with it once it's in the self-directed account, which is pretty cool. That in itself is pretty amazing. You can open yourself up to all of these investment vehicles that you never knew you could do, because with the 401k, you're only restricted to a very small selection that your company has pre-selected you to buy. The pros and cons of investing in real estate, specifically with a IRA, is, well, one pro is that it's really easy to get in. So if you saved up a lot of money in your IRA, it's really easy for you to be able to just jump into that investment, right? Because the money is there, it's ready to go, it's sitting in cash. There's no loans, there's no anything like that. So if you have $100,000 sitting in a previous 401k, it's very easy to get that transferred and to buy a property with cash, which is your own retirement funds. And then everything is basically inside that. And the house is owned by your IRA, not by you, but by your IRA. And all the returns ends up going to your IRA, and it acts just like a regular investment would. Okay. The negative is that you lose some of the great tax advantages that we get as real estate investors. And you also are not able to leverage. So because we're real estate investors, we understand that we want to buy an entire asset for only 20 to 25% of the purchase price of the entire asset, right? Well, unfortunately, in IRA investing, unless you have a sophisticated scheme where you're borrowing, money from other IRAs to make this happen, it's not going to be as simple as that. You're going to have to buy things straight out in cash, which may appeal to some people, right? There's no mortgage, so you get more cash flow. The problem is that in the United States, and for investors here in the US, when you have a mortgage on a property, you get to write that off. So you have a bunch of tax advantages. Unfortunately, when you're in a tax advantaged account, which is an IRA, right? Because those money came in from your employer or from you and it wasn't taxed yet, you're not going to pay taxes until you convert it to paying yourself, right? When you pay yourself in cash. So that means that all of the money that's made inside that tax advantaged account is going to stay there. And you're not able to take any tax advantages because you can't loan it. And all the expenses that you get on that property, you can't write them off because it's already tax advantaged. So that's one thing. But on the other hand, that could work out in your favor, because if you end up buying a property and doing like a flip, for instance, right? Like you buy a property for cheap and you use IRA funds to improve the property and you get it to be worth way more than what you put in, you can sell the property and all of the capital gains just aren't there. There's no capital gains. So if you have a huge capital gain on a property, either you invest in or with the syndication, then you don't have to worry about capital gains because you haven't touched the money yet. So all the funds that are inside of that account stay tax advantage. You don't have to do that. And then the other thing, the last final advantage, is that for you, it's easy to be able to learn how to do this when you have the cash available. It's one less barrier to get in. And it will also help you learn how to invest in real estate. It'll also teach you how to invest in notes, commodities, and businesses. Really, the sky is the limit here. So you can invest in anything out there with a pool of cash that you have saved for your investing. And whatever you learn in that investing with your IRA, you can take with you on the cash side so that you can take advantage of some of those taxes. So it's really, really cool way to use your IRA as sort of a laboratory, which is exactly how I got started. I had a whole pool of cash, right? And in my 401k from a previous employer, and I rolled it over to a self-directed IRA. And I took it with me to Indianapolis and I said, I'm ready to buy some property. And as soon as I did that, I was able to buy my very first property in my Roth IRA with cash. And once I did, that kind of opened up everything to all the property management contacts, all of the agent contacts, and everyone to get me started on the other side of the business, which is my cash, right? So I just had some cash saved as well that I had already paid taxes on and I could use to leverage. So basically, you can use your IRA money as kind of an experiment if you want to, if you're young enough and you have enough saved up. And so I really encourage you to go ahead and explore some of those avenues. And over here at Elevate Equity, we have a ton of products available for you to be able to help you learn how to do that. You can get involved in syndications and we can help you with that too, where you can take 50 grand or 30 grand or 100 grand of whatever in retirement money you want and partner with other syndicators, other apartment investors, and learn how they run things. And then you can take that knowledge and then do that yourself. Or on the same token, you can just take that money and invest in single family homes yourself, right? And you can use the knowledge that you gain from that to invest on the other side. And then when things go well, or maybe not so well, you can sell the property and you get your cash back into your IRA. And there's just a lot of things that you can do with it that helps give you an extra layer of flexibility as an investor that's entering into a new field, or even one that's already sophisticated and just wants to really leverage the advantage. There are some people that I know that have a Roth IRA, okay, and they use their Roth IRA to flip houses constantly. So they have $100,000 in their Roth IRA. They make about $40,000 per flip. And every time they do a flip, it goes into the Roth IRA and it's not taxed. And so then they use their new account, which is, let's call it 140,000 now, and they put that into the next property and then they flip that one. And now they're up with 180. And then they take that and they put it into two. So now they have two houses going at one time. And so you can get all of those advantages going with the Roth IRA. And then the beauty about the Roth IRA is that you're not paying taxes in the gains inside your account. But then when you end up taking the money out, it is tax free because that's the nature of a Roth IRA. So all these things are kind of ninja ways to be able to build wealth tax free. But you do have to have the knowledge and you have to have the experience. And so I would recommend that you guys start away right with square one with some of the cash that you have available right now to get your education up and start learning a little bit more about how it all works with your IRA funds, especially if you have a little bit of time to build up your retirement and keep yourself going. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's all I wanted to talk with you guys about today with IRA funds. If you want to learn more about it, please let me know. I'm here to help you. And if you have any questions at all, just go ahead and comment or just reach out to me. You can get to us at our website called Elevate Equity. That's at elevateequity.org. You can go there and schedule time to meet with me, and we can hash through whatever it is that you have for your plans or whatever you would like to consider doing for your 401k and your IRAs. So hopefully that was useful for you guys. And I will see you guys next Saturday with another Saturday stream. And good talking to you guys. Take care.